Hi, my name is Shawn Shaler. This is my friend Chris Ford, and it's still really weird that it makes me click on that other screen before it shows the picture. And this is Avatar: The Last Podcasters. This week we are on Sokka's Master, that is Book 3, Fire, Episode 4, Episode 44 overall. But first, before we get to any of the nonsense, Chris, how are you doing?
I am doing better. That is the word I would describe I'm doing. I don't get too deep or emotional in in some of this, but
I don't
it's
know why
been
not. It's a safe space. Like, there's a
yeah.
safe, a
Well,
safe podcast.
I'll save a lot of it for maybe a later video. But there was some terrible news. Kobe Bryant passed away in a tragic, and 8 other people, including his daughter, passed away in a tragic helicopter accident. We've talked about basketball before, I'm a huge Lakers fan. Have been since 1997, pretty much since he came in the league. And so like I usually don't take celebrity deaths that hard, like ever. Like I never really shed a tear or anything, but Sunday was rough. Um, but but no, I think things have gotten a lot better. I have just like gone to the point of just really more so celebrating everything he's done, his life, stuff like that. And that always helps you get over it. Which I know if I knew Kobe more personally, that's much harder. It's much harder for people to actually know him. But as a person who has seen his career over this whole entire time and stuff, it did kind of weigh heavy on me. Like I said, I'm a huge like fan. And also, it's I easily cry in movies all the time, right? Because you watch a character and you empathize with the character. When the character goes through something, it you feel that. And so like I watch basketball all the time, and so I see these basketball players, bigger than life, and I know them to a certain degree. You see them reacting to it, and it's really easy to just feel those same emotions like hit you over the head again and again and again. But like I said, I've gotten in a pretty good place, a place where I wouldn't say process it at all, but I can put into words a lot of my thoughts, which I'm going to do. Hopefully, I'll do a video on it pretty soon. It kind of spans beyond Kobe, and to a certain extent. But I just started thinking about legacy, and what is a legacy, and and uh, and just I don't know how celebrity deaths are different from other people's deaths, but how that's not anything to necessarily be like to hate them for it or to shame them for it like that, or to look down at people who do mourn over celebrity deaths and everything.
It's
Um,
always been. Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
like I
Go
said
ahead.
before, I've been uh, really just kind of going through memory lane. I think a lot of players sharing their Kobe stories, even though there are emotional. Some of them are just like they're just so Kobe-esque, and they're so. Some of them are really funny. Like last night, I watched a Ron Artest one, which you know who Ron Artest is. His other name is Metal World Peace.
I had
He's an
NBA
interesting person.
2K2 first, so he'll always be Ron Artest to me. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but he was Kobe Bryant's teammate, rival for some good years. We played for the Rockets. Like him and Kobe got into it a lot, which that's compared to Kobe was like if he respected you, even if you hated each other on against team, he wanted you on the team, at some point. Um,
and it's
but
fair to
he
say
was
that
Ron
Ron
Artest was talking
Artest
about
was a pain in the rear.
yeah, yeah. It's hilarious to go back and watch this stuff. But the Lannisters joined their team in 2008. Lakers lost in the finals to the Celtics in 2008, and they lost in 6 games, I think, maybe
Mm-hmm.
5 games.
Nope, six.
But that last 6, okay. But that last game, they got blown out, completely blown out, like by 38, maybe 40 points. I remember being heated that went into work because I worked an overnight shift, and so like I had to go into work right after the game was over, and then I go in. There's a Celtics fan there, kind of rubbing it in. But anyway, Ryan Test, he was like, yeah, and we lost, and I was talking to the media and everything. I wanted to catch Kobe because I knew he was mad, and but I couldn't find him. And Phil was just, I went to the locker room. Phil's like just pointing in the shower. So I go in the shower. Kobe's taking the shower. and he's showering and everything. It's hot. There's steam coming off of him. Which one thing visualizing this is so weird. But in
I
the way
played
Ron
enough high
Artest
school
tells it,
basketball. I can visualize it.
yeah, in the way Ron Artest tells it, it's even like more weird. He's like, and Kobe has this really mean look on his face. I just want to say, hey Kobe, I'm proud of you. You fought really hard. And he says, man, what the f you doing, or something to that extent. Like, what are you doing here? and and then I watched just a recap of so they lost to the Celtics in 2008. They beat the Orlando Magic in 2009 in the NBA Finals, which was really easy. Like they beat them in 5 games, so it
Yeah,
was a good win,
the
but
Dwight
it didn't feel
and what's the coach's name?
Amir
The Dwight
Nelson and Stan Van Gundy,
Van
or the
Gundy.
one of the Van
Yeah,
Gundy brothers.
that year. Yep.
Yeah, that win it felt good, but didn't feel as good. So
It wasn't
it
wasn't gratifying. Yeah.
Yeah, they played the Celtics the next year. I mean, this is one of the best finals I've watched. It's Game 7, Lakers versus Celtics in the finals. Like that's basketball at its peak.
That's one of
right
those
there.
things that even like not super basketball people, it's kind of an Americana sort of thing. You sort of need to get into it.
But like Kobe didn't have a great game in that Game 7. I mean, he still had like 20 something points, but there's one point where he has the ball on top of the key, and he finds Ron Artest for an open 3, and Ron Artest shoots it, he makes it. That really took the Lakers up, I think 6 points in that game, and with like a minute and a half left, so the Lakers they had a pretty good lead at that point. It's funny because at that point the score was like 80-74 or something like that, really low scoring game. Back in it was a fine scoring game for that time, even 10 years ago. But anyway, Lakers win the championship, and Ron Artest is interviewed afterwards. It's like, Kobe passed me the ball. And I could hear Phil Jackson in my head because he's a Zen master, right? He gets in your head. He was like, Ron, don't shoot the ball. And I was like, shut up, Phil. And I shot it and I made it. But yeah, so I've been doing a lot of that. Anyway, that's how it's been helping processing everything. But no, it's like I said, everything's better. I'm in a pretty good mood.
I have to preface by saying I'm not a Celtics fan. For some reason, with basketball more than any other sport, I tend to follow coaches and players individually, and I think it's just because of the way.
I don't know.
I think it's just because of the way individual players or coaches. I always feel like in basketball maybe have a bigger impact than the other sports, and I really like that about basketball. But I could be exaggerating. Long story short, I really like Paul Pierce, and I really like Doc Rivers. Who, by the way, I didn't get really sad until I saw his reaction on ESPN to it, and that about broke my heart. And so I do remember both of those finals extremely well, and just because of playing the Celtics, it's probably some of my favorite Kobe memories. I will say that when it comes to celebrity deaths, it's kind of like there's like 3 points in my head of like, all right, first of all, just because people mourn celebrity deaths in a different way doesn't mean that anybody's like escalating them as more important than anybody else. Yeah. Like I feel like it gives off that perception sometimes, but nobody wants that to feel that way, and that's not what it means. But it's just interesting or really neat of the like shared emotions with so many people, or to see how many lives that Kobe impacted. Almost more interesting the fact of like, how many millions of lives did he impact that he didn't even know these people? Yeah. And that, I don't know, there's something really neat and interesting about that. And we all have idols as children, as adults, or whatever. Like I said, I think sometimes people take the celebrity death mourning the wrong way, but it's not. First of all, it's not the right time to be taking that stuff the wrong way anyway. You just look at it and sort of appreciate how it brings people together and find the good in it. And I think that's what any person wants when they pass, is for something good to come out of it. So interesting week in that regard for sure.
Yeah, I said this on Twitter, and I'm going to fit it somewhere into my video essay, that it's a surreal feeling pretty much the same emotion about the same person that millions of other people are feeling at the exact same time. Like, I've never felt that before, and in a way I feel more connected to humanity than ever before.
It's a very connecting moment. I think I told you on Gmail, one of the weirdest ones for me was that I really liked Shawn Taylor in the NFL. He's my favorite player in the NFL during his short time. But it was weird because he was kind of also maybe a little bit of a pain in the rear, and he like wasn't at his peak yet. Like other people didn't love Shawn Taylor, and I remember being so frustrated. Like, I can't believe there's not more coverage on this. I can't believe there's not more people upset about this. He's Shawn Taylor. And then, like, the farther away I get from it, I was like, it's because not a lot of people liked Shawn Taylor. Like, he was just entering that part of his career and was also had some troubled history and stuff. But anyway, it's a tough week, but it's really cool to see the way that the sporting world has reacted to it. A lot of good things coming out in that sense.
The whole entire sporting world, like pretty much every facet, like soccer, because Kobe was big into soccer because he grew up in Italy.
Yeah.
Like if he sits you down, like I've seen him in interviews talking about soccer and like talking about the game of it and how like, oh, well, this player came in and did this and this, and like and then there was a couple other sports. Football, the Pro Bowl was not the Pro. Yeah, the Pro Bowl was happening at the same time that this news broke, and and then Tiger Woods. You see his reaction to it because his caddy like knew it this whole time. He was playing at some open, but his caddy didn't tell him until he was done. Like the whole sports world, even beyond that, has been affected by it. But on a brighter note, which it is coming up, Super Bowl Sunday. And the home team is in Super Bowl. I'm wearing my one Chiefs. Actually, I have two Chiefs shirts.
I also have two Chiefs shirts. This is one of them, yeah.
But you have a very nice. That's a jersey, Shawn.
It's an old jersey though. This is Tony Gonzalez, so it is. It's up there in age.
This Chiefs shirt I got for free from donating blood.
Oh, nice.
So if you're able to donate blood, people. There's plenty of blood shortages, and you might get a free shirt out of it.
We bleed red. I mean, like literally, but also in the Chiefs way.
Yeah. Yes.
Again, it's a little bit of it's strange to me because my first team is the Reds, like they're the Redskins. But people always look at me like that makes me a bandwagon Chiefs fan. It's like, no, they're in different conferences. The Chiefs are my second favorite team. I watch every Chiefs game every week. Like, I want to see a rule that's you can only have sworn loyalty to one team. It's like, no.
I kind of have, ever since the Chiefs made Super Bowl, I kind of have this like imposter syndrome where I'm like, I'm not a real Chiefs fan. Like, I see them all celebrating. Like, there was guns going off in my neighborhood and stuff, guns, or fireworks, something. I don't know. I don't know.
Don't worry about where Chris lives. It's crazy.
This isn't where I grew up at, North Tulsa. But I'm like, I'm not that. Like, I'm excited for it. But like, when I talk about the Chiefs, I don't say we. Right. When I talk about the Lakers, even though they're 500 miles away, I say, oh yeah, we're going to the ship this year. We got Anthony Davis. We got LeBron. When I talk about the Chiefs, I'm like, yeah, the Chiefs are good. Even though I have been going for the Chiefs, like pretty much since I've started living in Kansas, which is like 9 or 10 years. And they are the only I had no football team allegiance before that. So I am purely in the Chiefs camp. But I see how these, true diehard, I won't say true because I am a true Chiefs, but these diehard, lifelong Chiefs fans react. And I'm really happy for them. But I'm just like, guys, we got to win one more game. Super Bowl's not enough.
I feel like I've just been taking a little bit of rap because everybody will be like, Shawn, don't you like the Eagles or the Cowboys or one of those? And I'll be like, shamefully, like the Redskins. But it's like, I watch every Chiefs game. It's not a close second, but it's a very clear, like, I don't know. I feel like I've taken a lot of heat in the past 2 weeks for sporting all the Chiefs gear or whatever. But that's fine. I can have two teams. Y'all chill out. Yeah. No, I don't even have two teams. I have a clear favorite and a clear second favorite. But I do. Do you care to throw out a prediction?
Let's see. The Chiefs are going to win, of course.
Of course.
I'm going to go with Chiefs win 30-21.
Actually, I weirdly like the chances of it turning into a little bit of a shootout. So I was thinking something more in the range of like 38, 33 Chiefs. Just a little bit more like I can see it turning into a game where the San Francisco running game is just like gashing us, and then Patrick Mahomes having to throw the ball 15 yards a pop all game long. So I already forgot what I said though. 38-33, something like that in that realm. All right, hold us to that, audience. Hold us to that.
Yeah. Yeah. As for everything else that's happening, I don't know if you want to ask a question, segue into this, but other geek stuff I've been watching. My Hero Academia wrapped. Well, it didn't wrap. It wrapped up a certain arc last night. I've been really loving My Hero Academia. Shawn, you need to watch it and catch up on it.
I'm trying really hard, but right now I have prioritized Static Shock until Comic-Con. I have just made a difficult choice. That's all.
Oh, okay. That's fine. The thing is, we have 2 months till Comic-Con. We have much longer time than I think I've been, because my costume's already ready. I haven't spray painted yours. I told you about that wig that I had, and it's not gonna work.
I'm gonna have to blonde my hair because I think a wig will. I get headaches really easy sometimes, and I can see something like wearing a wig all day give me headaches. So I'll find a way to blonde my hair.
It was a terrible wig anyway. But anyway, My Hero Academia is really good. I just posted a video a couple of days ago reviewing the overhaul arc on it, because it is stunning. I think it's on its way to being the greatest anime of all time.
That's pretty high praise.
I currently hold the greatest anime of all time to be Yu Yu Hakusho, which you should watch that as well. I think My Hero is a little easier to digest, but Yu Yu Hakusho is really, really good. Like, imagine, I think of it as like Deadpool. No, Deadpool, that's not good sense. And don't scratch that, okay? Because you're gonna think different things. Anyway,
the first thing I thought was meta, and I do love meta. So now that you're taking that away from me, I'm a little hurt.
It's not meta at all. Deadpool.
Damn it.
The reason I brought up Deadpool is that, like, there's a jerk, right? Like, this kid is like a freaking game banger, pretty much. And I wouldn't say game banger, but he's a jerk. He has no prospects in life. He's headed to hell. But he saves a kid from a car. He's literally headed to hell. He jumped in front of a car to save a kid from dying. And then there were, like, the people who run heaven to hell. They're like, you weren't supposed to do that. We had you dying in this time and this time.
We didn't expect you
to do something selfless. So anyway, he becomes a spirit detective. That's a really good anime with some really great character growth.
Is it on
and
Hulu?
Really great animation. Yes, it is on Hulu.
Good.
Yeah, the dubs are on Hulu. The dubs are really good dubs.
I know I'm a loser, but I only do dubs because rarely do I just sit and watch. I'm almost
it's understandable.
Yeah.
I take dubs over subs any chance I get because I like to pay attention to the whole entire screen instead of just like catching glimpses of it and focus in on that on the subtitles.
And usually, like, I don't know. I mean, it's not that I'm not watching, but usually I'm kind of doing something else. Like, I might be playing a video game on the Switch or kind of organizing something in the room or what. Like, I almost have to have dubs, but all right. I will have to watch that one after these. Hey, at least football season is over, and football is my favorite sport, so it consumes not just NFL. I'll watch any football all the time. I'm even sad that the AFL went under. That's really disappointing to me. So, but football season's over, so I'll have some more time to finally catch up on this backlog of shows, which there are many. Yeah.
Speaking, I mentioned Heaven and Hell. Another show that I absolutely love is The Good Place. It had its series finale yesterday. Really good finale. The whole show is just really strong. It is one of the best comedies I have seen. It is without a doubt the best story within a comedy. If I was doing a review of it, which one of these days I may review it. Maybe not. I might not have time for it. But it definitely has probably the best story within a comedy, but it's also still really funny. And it is an actual comedy, but there's just a lot of stuff about philosophy, a lot of character growth, things like that. You will love The Good Place, Shawn. Like I think you and your wife would both really enjoy watching it. Most of the seasons are currently on Netflix. When this season, it'll probably be on Netflix as well whenever it's done.
I'm not trying to derail the topic because I appreciate the recommendation. I'll add it to the list. But before I forget, and I mean to ask you this every week every week we do the podcast for like the past 2 months. I only have 2 seasons of Community, so that is all I've watched this point, and I love Community and I want to continue it, but it seems to be nowhere.
It's on Hulu.
Community is on Hulu?
Yes, I've been rewatching some Community lately, and I've been rewatching a lot of Scrubs.
It's worth noting that I just got my own Hulu for the crowd, for the audience, so I don't have to mooch off Chris's anymore. I just got it like 2 weeks ago, so still getting things lined up.
Okay.
I never.
I was going to ask you, has you or Heather been watching the show with that girl from SNL? Because for some reason it's on season 2, episode 1 on my thing. Like, I'm sure.
What's the
I have
name
not
of
been
it?
watching the show, and this does not. I don't know the name of it.
I think the only thing I've ever watched on your Hulu was like the first half of the first season of My Hero. But I do like SNL. I don't know which girl or which show you're talking about.
I mean, I wouldn't have cared. I was just curious. I'm just like, I don't know why this is like that.
No, I'm curious. Well, it could have been Heather too.
The show is called Shrill.
I'm totally unfamiliar. Got nothing. It's possible that my wife was watching it out there on the Shield before we signed up. That's a possibility.
That's fine.
It doesn't sound like her kind of show, but I don't know anything about it. All right. Well, I also need to get back into Community for those first 2 seasons that I watched.
Oh,
I'm happy to say that those couple of seasons were genuinely 2 of my favorite seasons of television of anything. Like, it's my kind of comedy, and comedy is my favorite. So I need to get back into Community. I have never watched Scrubs religiously, and I probably never will because there's just too much of it. I do like it. I have nothing against it. I've just never sat down. But when I think of Scrubs, do you remember the show Psych?
Yes.
I don't know why I equate those two, but it's like everybody else watched Scrubs, and instead of watching Scrubs, I watched Psych. They're totally not related in any way. I don't know why I think that way, but it's like a similar type of comedy, a similar style, I guess. And someday I want to go watch Psych, but not anytime soon, because first I want to Static Shock first. I'm only like halfway through 1 season of Static Shock and 2 seasons into Community, and I would consider those my 2 highest priorities at the moment. But I do need a show that I can watch with my wife, something we can watch together. And so maybe The Good Place can be the sit on the couch together for dinner television show that we start. I can see that being a good one. Thank you for the recommendation.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't have any really new videos besides the one I mentioned about My Hero Academia.
My week, I pretty much we like covered it because I just like to interrupt you when you talk. So I already talked about all of it, except for small development is that I got the first 2 Avatar games on PlayStation 2, and at some point I would like to. I was kind of hoping to do a review of all 3, but the third one is a little less common. It's not like expensive or anything because it's not good, but spoiler alert. But it's just a little less common. But I kind of want to do a review of all 3 in a single video on the same platform, so it's like apples to apples. So at some point, I would like to do a video review of the Avatar games. I have honestly spent maybe 2 minutes playing any of them ever, and it was like probably it could have been the third one because I think it was on the Wii. But looking forward to that. And that's the only thing in my week that I had not already mentioned. I put a little bullet here for Avatar news, but I honestly don't remember. I don't think that we had heard anything. I just wanted to make sure we had the opportunity to talk about Avatar news if it came up.
There was no news, I don't believe. Coming out Tuesday is the Fire Nation, the Legacy of the Fire Nation book, which is written by Iroh to Zuko. It should be, so far from just the small snippets of it I've seen, is one of the best just like side books that there is. Like, looks better than the one that previously came out called After Our Last Airbender, just Legacy. Yeah, because I have it.
That was the Tenzin.
So, yeah,
that was the Tenzin letter.
Yeah, it was written by Aang to Tenzin. This one is written by Iroh to Zuko. I can't wait to get it. I already have it. It should be in the mail Tuesday, so maybe I'll do a little review of it. I'm not sure. No promises.
That'd be good. I would watch it. And then I just want to remind you, in case you forgot, you sent me like 2 very random notes over Google Hangouts earlier. I just want to make sure that I'm not supposed to like bring those up now or something to remind you.
Nah, they're for the episode.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. I didn't know I was like, these are the weirdest news tidbits you have ever sent. Okay. Well, with that being said, I don't really have anything else to talk about preview wise. So let's go ahead and jump into the episode, I think. Which is we can't jump in the episode. We have this great activity lined up. I actually can't believe I forgot. I've been thinking about this a lot. Chris, I wanted to know if you were in this episode and you had to make your own sword that was an extension of yourself, what would that sword be? What would it look like? What would it be made of? And I have to preface this by saying that high fantasy and swords and magic and dragons is like 99% of my childhood. So I have given this a lot of thought at various points in my life.
And I have not, so that's interesting.
It just means you spent your time in better ways than I spend mine. But you play Legend of Zelda. You have sword aspirations.
So my favorite sword is the Master Sword. One thing, I just love Link, but it was probably the most redeeming quality of a Skyward Sword.
The longest Legend of Zelda game ever.
Yeah. It's just him building up the sword, and I forgot the soul that's like in the sword, but that was all really cool. But I really like the handle on the Master Sword. When it comes to the blade itself, I want to get. I'm gonna pull from different properties here. There is Hephaestus, who is the Greek god of creating stuff. I think I don't know what he is. Anyway,
Hephaestus. I can picture it in my mind, but I don't know how to say it.
He was married to the really hot goddess. I forgot her name. Persephone? No, not Persephone.
Aphrodite.
Aphrodite.
The hot one, yeah. She's the god of being hot. Yeah. Don't you know that?
It pretty much is the god of the goddess of being hot.
Hephaestus was the god of fire, metalworking, stonemasonry, forging, art of sculpture.
Yes.
And was married to Aphrodite. Okay, got it.
Yes. So in DC Comics, Wonder Woman has a sword. It was forged by Hephaestus, and it can cut through particles. So pretty much, like if you break it down on a scientific scale, it's pretty much like the most indestructible thing in the world. But that might be too OP.
Nah, that's if you want your extension of yourself to be OP, that's excellent.
It is interesting to extension yourself. I was watching this episode we're talking about today with commentary on it, and Master Piandao, who was the I can't think of the stupid word. The martial arts martial arts consultant on the show, who he came up with the 4 actual bending techniques and the real life fighting styles that should correlate with them. He didn't create them. He
sort of translated them into the show, kind of.
Yes, he came up with integrating them into the show, and he was talking about how like sword work, like people don't fight with swords anymore. People just use it to have a chi and stuff, and have their chi flow out of them and extend into the sword. Like he made it seem like it's a really interesting concept that I'm surprised that Avatar don't use. Like how, like in real life, they what they think of, like their chi goes into the sword. Like that's an interesting concept.
That's a perfect segue for mine. I'm so excited that you said this.
That your chi can go into your sword. But other than that, I'm surprised I really don't have like some sword that I just really love. Honestly, the blade that I always really want, which is not a sword at all, so I'm just gonna diverge here, is Wolverine's claws. Like,
I mean, that could be. That's a literal extension right there. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I just love Wolverine's claws. Like, even though they make no sense when it comes to his body anatomy, like, where did the claws come from?
Can he not twist his wrists when they're inside of there? How does that work?
Yeah, and even if, like, say, the only way that would work is that if they're in his forearms, right? So that way he can still bend his thing, but they would stick out from his skin.
Some would have to be messed up
Yeah.
there.
Like, oh, okay, well, maybe they grow. Well, if they grow, that means metal, he's just forming metal out of anywhere. And we know that that's not how he wasn't born with metal claws. His metal claws were, the metal was um, put on to his bones.
And
And so it makes no sense. But I still love his claws.
Days of Future Past, and I'm not, that I'm not invested in the comics, so I'm sure I'm overlooking certain kind of lore here. But it's not like the bones before the adamantium make any more sense. Like, that's
No, they
it's
don't.
not like it's any better when it wasn't adamantium either. But it's fine. I'm happy to
Yeah.
overlook
Hey,
it.
there, it's one of those comic book things. It's like, let's just go with it. I don't care. It's cool. Comic books are supposed to be cool. Let's just do
Yeah,
it.
it's totally fine.
But so if I had to actually form a sword, I guess it would be the hilt. That's what it's called, right? The hilt of the Master Sword, because I absolutely love that, and the blade of Wonder Woman's sword.
I don't know. I don't know if it is for sure, but when I think of hilt, I kind of think of like everything from the blade down, like the handle, the part that protects your hand from the blade, everything. Like, yeah, but I don't know if that's actually right.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, but now I'm looking at a statue of the White Ranger, and that sword.
oh,
Oh man.
uh,
Oh, and cool bar sword. That cool bar sword is cool from Yu Yu Hakusho as well. But yeah, that white Power Ranger tiger sword.
it
Can I
is
just put a? I'm gonna
sick.
put a tiger at the end of the Master Sword or at the bottom of it,
I don't
and
know
it'll
why you
talk to me,
wouldn't.
give me advice.
I don't know why you wouldn't. You know, it's funny is because when I tell Heather, it's like, she'll be like, "Hey, we have any plans Friday?" And I'll be like, "It's podcast night," and then all I think is that sick Power Rangers riff from the opening credits. Oh, it's got to be one of the greatest opening theme songs of my entire life. But
Interesting enough, the same person who did that, the opening theme song for X-Men. So that
yeah, I
guy,
can kind of hear that guy. Let's get that guy to be a friend of this show. That stuff is awesome. I
he's friends with bigger shows, I think. there's
possibly,
there's a YouTube
possibly.
channel I follow called NerdSync who does really great content. But he had him on the show to go over like the X-Men theme song because the X-Men theme song like it's so great, and he wanted to like
It
go over like
is.
why it was like the history of it. Um, but anyway,
You ever try Nerdificent, the podcast Nerdificent?
I have not. No.
If you ever run out of content, give that one a try. It's pretty much up our alleys. So I've given this so much time. I'm so excited. So I'm kind of a simple plain guy. So aesthetically, I want the blade of my sword just to be like steel, like just unassuming, affordable, appropriate, reliable, like just like this
Made in America
made in
steel.
America steel. But I want the blade itself to be kind of unassuming, and even the hilt. I want it to kind of look like the sword of Gryffindor because I really like Harry Potter, and that's the only sword opportunity in Harry Potter. And then I also have a fascination with silver. So like I don't have a lot of jewelry and stuff, but everything that I have is silver. So it's like, all right, what if I took all the sterling silver I have and I melt it into the hilt, make it look like Godric Gryffindor's sword? I never thought about the lion head on the bottom. That's kind of cool. I'll have to think about that. But then the biggest thing that I would want from my sword is that in all of my favorite video games, and then you even mentioned the chi being part of the sword. All of my favorite games that I love the most, whether it's like Diablo or Castlevania, their
Mhm.
weapons are like always imbibed with some enchantment or the souls of things that they kill or something like that. That's what I'd want to make my sword special. Is somehow to like channel, whether it's like channeling my active feelings at that time, or if I could actively sort of change its innermost traits or characteristics with thoughts or feelings.
Mm.
I don't know why, but that's like everything in my favorite. I didn't even think about it. Even the Sword of Gryffindor, like it takes on anything it kills or the powers of things that it kills. I kind of forget the lore. Don't get mad at me, Harry Potter fans. I forget how it works. But even it kind of takes on properties of other things in a magical way. So that's actually really my only requirement that makes it special. Like it'd just be a boring sword. I don't care, whatever. As long as I can lift it. I'm not very strong, so it probably needs to be something a little smaller. Needs to be like needle, sticking with the pointy end. But it has to have like magical imbibing powers of some type or other that I can help channel or change. And that is my extension.
Ooh, speaking of Game of Thrones, I'm gonna change my. I don't want the tiger head. I want him to talk and be sentient. And if I wanted to be the wolf head, from Jon Snow's sword.
Oh yeah, that is a great. That's one of the great pieces of. I guess you would call that the great pieces of costume work of that show. I think that sword right there. I totally forgot about the Power Rangers sword. Well, thank you for indulging me in this fantastic activity that gave me an excuse to think about all of my favorite swords. I'll happily indulge in that anytime. All right, well, let us know if you had to make your own sword, but send us pictures. I'm not a good artist, so I'm not about to draw a picture. With that, I think we have chit-chatted plenty. Let's get into
chit-chatted, yeah.
40 minutes already. That's all right, because the episode is... regardless of your thoughts on the episode, it's not like it's going to take all that long. It's not incredibly deep or anything like that, so it's fine.
No.
And the episode is Sokka's Master. Man, I did it again. I forgot to change all the numbers. It's episode 4. You can ignore that number up there.
Jeez, need to get a new producer.
That's probably well overdue.
So the Team Avatar opening up, they're having a really nice chill time, just looking up at the sky. There's a meteor shower. Toph is like, you've seen nothing once, you've seen it a bunch of times. I love the blind humor in here. Really good stuff.
Yeah,
but it's not offensive.
And this episode is full of good humor. Not necessarily blind humor, but it's full of good humor.
Yeah. Interesting enough, for some reason I just noticed these meteor showers are using blue fire, which makes me think, what is the composition of the Earth on the planet? When a meteor comes down to our Earth, it's just red fire, but all these were blue. Does fire just burn hotter on this Earth? I don't know.
It's a weird atmosphere where it got to come through hot. I have no idea. Is a falling star, is that just a meteor, or is that something else entirely?
I can't tell you.
I don't know if I've ever seen a meteor.
I think a comet doesn't come... A meteor comes down to Earth. A comet just keeps going. Because a meteor, right, you can get a meteorite,
and then make a sword out of it.
Yeah.
Every time it's on the news, and they'll be like, meteor shower tonight, step outside at midnight. I'm like, I'm not going outside.
Yeah.
I'm not staying awake to go outside. That's outrageous.
Yeah, you keep talking for a minute. I gotta go try my TV. It's loud. I'm upstairs.
Hey, well, if you don't mind, I'll walk through some of what happens in the episode in highlight format. So
yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I can handle that. So they're sitting around and watching this meteor shower, and you get the blind humor. But the crux of the entire first portion of this episode is that Sokka feels very useless. He's a little upset, kind of wishes he had more to contribute, and he even specifically mentions at one point that everybody has had training from a master in bending. Katara has received training from a master in water bending. Aang is getting all this attention for all kinds of bending, and so the crux of this early part of the episode is really just Sokka moping about not having any sort of refined abilities, and then they're trying to cheer him up, and so then it goes from that to essentially shopping. I think they say that explicitly. I know what's going to cheer you up. We're going to go shopping, and so they start going weapons shopping, and that's what furthers the plot development of this story more towards sword fighting. Is that they're shopping around for weapons, and Sokka's still lamenting lack of a honed skill. That's probably the first 5 or 6 minutes of the episode.
Yeah. And this is, to me, the weakest part of the episode, right? When they take out the flames from the meteor shower, and Sokka just sitting there, and afterwards Sokka feels useless. But Sokka has proven himself not to be useless. This would have been maybe a good couple episodes right after Toph gets introduced, because then Sokka is kind of even lower on the totem pole. But he's proven himself to be very useful, all the time. And so for him to have this doubt is it's not out of character, but it seems like he would have moved past this.
I think I'm okay with that. It's like a recurring thing. Yeah, envy is a natural human thing. So, but I do get what you're saying. Is all right, you've already proven yourself. You shouldn't have to feel bad at this point.
Yeah.
It's a slow start to the episode for sure.
Yeah. On the we'll get to B plot stuff later on.
I figured
Um,
we would just separate them because they're not interconnected even in
they're
the
not at
slightest.
all.
So I
Yeah.
figured we'd just touch on it at the end.
All right. So he comes across the sword, as you may have mentioned, and the guy tells him like, "Oh yeah, Master Piandao, he's a sword teacher, and that's what Sokka knows. He knows he needs a master, 'cause that's what Katara has. That's what Aang had. Uh, Toph, I don't think she mentions this here, but anyway, he's like, oh, I need a
Toph's
master.
rich,
That'd be really
whatever.
good. Yeah, Toph learned from the original masters, but I don't think she has brought that up yet to
I think
them.
they actually said something about the badger moles or learning
Oh,
from the
okay.
badger moles or something. Am I making that up in my head? I might be
No, you
making
might
that
not be.
up.
They do at some point, but I think that's in the Firebending Masters episode.
You're probably
Toph says
right.
that.
Yeah.
But okay, so Master Piandao, I really like this moment where um, Sokka introduces himself to Master Piandao, and Master Piandao, you can tell that he's come across, dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands of students who wants to teach, who wants to learn under him, but he didn't deem them worthy. And he says to Sokka like, "Oh, let me guess, you're the best in your tribe," and la la da, essentially. And Sokka's like, "Yes, I am the best in my tribe, but also I am." Pretty much, he says that he's nothing and he's worthless, and and Master Piandao says essentially, "Well, let's see what your worth is together," and he agrees to train Sokka in a fairly um montagey. This whole episode's fairly montagey.
It does. It's
Like,
a lot of little snippets. Not like 80s montage with motivational
no,
music
no,
playing in the
no.
background, but lots of snippets.
Yeah, it's interesting because watching the commentary, Bright was saying like, yeah, we don't really like to do montages because they sometimes don't work, but in this case, we felt like we had to do. We felt like we did a pretty good job.
I certainly think so.
Yeah, no, yeah, they did it in a good way. I mean, sure, Sokka isn't by the end of it, which is realistic. He's not like some really great swordsman, but he's on his way there. He has some pretty good, I think, necessary things
He's
to
like learned some
continue his
key
training.
foundational pieces that might allow him to progress further on his own.
Yeah, yeah. And there's nothing much to dive into on the actual training aspect of it. I don't think.
Not specifically. It kind of goes a little bit of like Karate Kid, and like having him do things that seem a little unrelated at first. Like he's supposed to recognize the landscape and draw the landscape, and I really like that scene where he's got the stupid picture. So I should call it
Yeah,
stupid. He has this very poorly drawn picture. Um, but as you mentioned throughout the montage, there's nothing sort of specific to call out other than it kind of just expresses the idea of like Sokka being Sokka and maybe
yeah,
not quite fitting the expectations or what we think
yeah.
the master's expectation. I can't say his name. Piandao. What we think his
Piandao,
expectations are going to be.
Piandao. Okay,
Piandao.
yeah.
Got it.
Also to note, they had Sifu Kisu on this episode because this is Sifu Kisu. Like he didn't voice it, but he is the character inspiration for it, and they've been trying to figure out, since they started the show, like, all right, what character should we use for Sifu Kisu? And they finally figured out exactly who it should be, which I fan casted him to be the Netflix show. I think they should do it. I'm pretty sure they could do it. I mean, he doesn't have that many lines and stuff. It'll be really cool to have Sifu Kisu on there. But some of the things I really enjoyed with the training is that the way he was training Sokka and things he said seems so applicable actually to fighting. Like when he says like he has a blindfold on Sokka and he turns him around, he sees this vast landscape. And he turns him around really quick and is like, draw that. It's like as a swordsman, you must be able to look at a battlefield, gauge everything that's happening, and make decisions from there in a split second. All right, that's really cool. Um, and then we talked about like the paintbrush, right? Or with the calligraphy thing, he says like every swing of the paintbrush, there's no undoing it, just like there's no undoing the swing of a sword. Like everything has to be deliberate. Even though Sokka took that and did something completely different, but still. But I just really love those lessons. Like they're really cool. The metaphors are really, really good.
They seem to apply really well to me as I was thinking about it, and it could be just because I was in like a Patrick Mahomes mood. But it's like those are like great quarterback lessons. Like, all right, you got like 10 seconds
Yeah.
under center to survey this landscape, figure out what you're gonna do, and you
Yeah.
can't undo a stroke of the sword. Like all those things. Like he's talking about quarterbacks, and then I'm like, after I turn the episode off later, I'm just, Shawn, you're being stupid, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sifu Kisi's probably a big secret football fan. We don't even know. American football.
Yeah. What else is there? Okay, so he says like
landscaping also happens.
Yeah. Oh, and then making like the room comfortable for him. And that I think Sokka actually did a really good job on. It reminds me of I recently watched a clip from Men in Black 1, which is a really good movie. So Will Smith is in the training thing, right? And that's probably one of the funniest things. And it actually is a similar test. It's a very similar test. So Will Smith, he's a cop, right? He's an LAPD, something like that. And he's training to go to the MIB, but he doesn't even know what MIB really is. And I forget exactly why he even got involved in it. But he's also there with like these 5 other like 5-star general type of Army, Navy SEALs type of people. And he's just like in street clothes. And they're all about to take this paper test, but they're in like this dome egg-shaped thing, and it's really uncomfortable. And they don't have like a desk to put the paper on, so all of them are just poking at the paper. They can't comfortably take the test, but there's a big, huge metal table in the middle there, and Will Smith's character just like gets it and like pulls it towards his chair. And it's making all this noise, and it's just distracting everybody. And he even offers up to the other guys like, "Hey, do you want to get on this table?" And the other guy like refuses. But it proves that to be an agent in Men in Black, like you had to be able to make a scene, right? You can't just be one thing. You can make a scene because you're going to erase your memories of everybody anyway. But you have to assess the situation and think outside the box. And then the more funny part is when they go through like the obstacle course and they're shooting targets, and all the other like 5 people shoot like an alien, and Will Smith is sitting there. He's just like, he doesn't shoot anything until it just pop. And then the guy stops the test. He's like, "What did you do?" He's like, "Sir, I hesitated, sir." He's like, "And what did you do to that little girl?" "I shot her right in the head." "Why?" Well, sir, there's this little girl here. She's probably like 7 years old. She got like physics books and stuff like that. She's in the middle of the ghetto. Like, she is clearly dangerous. Like, I was gonna shoot this. like I was gonna shoot this guy who's on this bar here, but I realized he's just doing pull-ups, right? What if I'm in the weight room and I'm working out, somebody come cap one to me? Like, I'm not gonna like that. And it's weirdly enough, I just watched that scene like 2 days ago, and it's really similar to this stuff.
I'm kind of embarrassed. I haven't seen that movie in like 15 years.
Yeah. First Men in Black is pretty good.
I don't even know that I've seen the most recent one.
Oh, I haven't either.
At all. What was that, past couple of years?
Oh, no. One recently came out with Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson.
Yeah. No, I definitely haven't seen that.
Men in Black International. I didn't see the one before that, and I'm pretty sure I didn't see the one before. No, I've seen the second one. I think there's only 4 of them.
I think there's only 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to go back and watch that. I haven't watched it in a really long time.
But yeah, okay. love diverting conversations here. So Master P and Dow's like, all right, you can now use a sword. And Sokka, it's like, oh, you gonna give me your sword? It's like, no, you'll make your own. And like Sokka goes to the sword hardware store place or whatever it is, or just Master P and Dow's warehouse or whatever. Anyway, he finds material that he doesn't really like. He's like, "Can I bring my own material?" He's like, "Yeah." And so he grabs the meteorite. Well, he doesn't grab it. It's really heavy. Toph and Aang earth bends it to to the place. And I love the commentary because on the commentary, Brian Mike is like, Master P and Dow is being pretty patient and like, how do these kids not know that people are going to think they're earthbenders? Like, they just there's a huge freaking
It's a boulder.
evidence. Yeah, there's a boulder, and there's just a whole like a trail of it this whole time. Like, of course you guys are earthbenders. And he gives a certain look that is really subtle that you can tell he's just like, okay. And he just goes along with it.
He's not stupid. He's got it. It's
Yeah. And Sokka makes the sword, does it all by himself, which I really love. Like, that was really hands-on. Like, he has to be patient. Like, I don't know everything that goes into sword building. Interesting enough, I forget their name. Man at Arms. Man at Arms is famous for like building their YouTube channel. Famous for building swords from genre stuff, and they actually build a Sokka sword. I think they might have actually used a meteorite. It didn't come out black; it came out silver. I mean, if I was them, I would have painted it, but they wanted to be realistic. But
they want it to be realistic. I want it to be right.
Yeah. But they're really good at just like completely making it look like that sword usually. They did the Master Sword also, which looked really good.
I don't remember what it's called, but I watched like one of those sort of, I'm just going to call it like a mediocre Netflix series, like one of those that they throw on there just because. It's essentially these guys that were making stuff for super fans of various TV shows and video games and things. And they did a couple of really awesome swords on there as well, but nothing as good as the swords that we described earlier.
Yeah.
I thought it was nice that they showed, like, you get a lot of goofy Sokka here, but you also get a lot of like clearly endearing and good Sokka too. You know, it's not like just Sokka being an idiot for 20 minutes. Like, no, you get very patient, diligent Sokka making his own sword here. That's probably the greatest show there, is doing something he's never done before at such a high degree. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So Sokka makes the sword and everything. And then when Master Pandao gives him swords, he pretty much says really great things about him. Like, you are, you have all the traits of the swordsman, honorable, truthful, stuff like that. And Sokka says, he opens up and says like, no, I'm not, whatever his name was. I'm actually Sokka from the Water Tribe. And
what does he say fight. His name was? You or Woo or something? I forget. It's very, very boring.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Anyway, they have this fight, and so I'm bringing up before. So in the commentary, Master Sifu Kisu says like, most sword fights aren't that long or not that interesting. They last less than 2 seconds. I think his little words were 1.7 seconds. Because like they're just that, I don't know, I guess they're that quick. Or like swords are like, when you watch any show, any movie, and they're fighting, like, it's choreographed for a reason. Because in order for like, just think about how many times your sword has hit another person's sword. But
I don't know if you've ever swung a bat at a softball on a predictable trajectory. I do it every summer 1,000 times, and I still suck at it. So the idea that somebody can take a much thinner, sharper object and swing it and hit somebody else's intentionally unpredictable, thin, sharp object. Not my favorite facet of sword play in movies is the idea that it could ever be two people so talented. I don't think that's very realistic, but...
So we know, I've mentioned before that in order, they send off like references to overseas. Like they'll film themselves doing like the moves that they want the characters to do, especially in fight choreography. And usually Sifu Kisu and Brian Konietzko kind of go through them. They're in the Nickelodeon gym, like doing this sword fight that Sokka and Master Pandao are doing, and like they're just like sweating. Like they're like, this was the hardest thing we've ever done. And I don't know the whole backstory behind this because it's interesting to me, but Nickelodeon has a gym and apparently Serena Williams just walks in. She's like, "Wow, you guys, this is a really great way to stay in shape." And Brian is just like, he's like, and I was just huffing and puffing, and I was out of breath. And he was like, one of the world's like greatest athletes told us like we're in shape, and we're definitely not in shape.
You're about dying with your toy stick.
Yeah, or at least he was. Yeah, he was saying like there were foam sticks that they were doing it with and stuff, but they were still like hurting and everything.
I hope that made Serena's day though. Like, hey, how was your day? Oh, just saw two guys in the Nickelodeon gym hitting each other with pieces of foam.
What if she got into LARPing? Like, but she probably would have gone in
just
like
whipping people's heads off with stuff. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Gosh, you know how great she would be at LARPing?
Yeah. You try to throw something at her?
Yeah.
She's gonna send your own stuff right back at you. That's for sure.
The thing is, like, she would probably go in secret. Like, she's probably like one of those secret characters who's like all dressed up and like hooded. Like, I don't know what her name would be.
She would have to be very well disguised. So, like, both Williams sisters are very distinctive, and they would have to be extremely well disguised.
But like in her LARPing circle, she would become like this legend, like the hooded
she only
mistress.
shows up at one LARPing event per year.
Like, I'm imagining, I've never LARPed. I would love to. I'm imagining like the tides in a battle, like a battle almost being won, and one side is just like really down, so there are few people, and then out of nowhere, just this figure standing on top of a hillside, and someone looks up. It's the hooded mistress, and she just comes in, just taking out everybody.
No, that's the thing, is that it's like, for her, it's like one swipe per person, right? And even if you block it, doesn't matter. It just knocks you back, just like blows you off the screen. I would LARP, but so I do have one friend at work that does do it, and he actually has to travel a long ways to get to any of these bigger events. But that's the issue for me, would be that they spend so much more time preparing, and probably in a way that honestly you would enjoy, in terms of like crafting your outfit and stuff.
I probably would really enjoy
I would want to go enjoy it as a lighthearted, like, athletic event, and with some strategy and fantastic elements. But he says he spends most of his time crafting his outfit and that type of thing, and getting to and from where he needs to go. So I was like, that part's not as interesting to me, but that's fine.
Yeah, that part seems really interesting.
The Legend of Serena.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The hooded mistress. I like that. That's a good one.
She is a voice actress on the show. She's voiced 2 different characters on the show.
I did not know that.
Yep. She is in an episode. She's actually a prison guard for Iroh. She appears in The Day of Black Sun. She's like the only prison guard who's nice to Iroh.
The one that kind of sort of hits on him just a little bit. She didn't hit on him. A little funny.
Yeah, just a little bit. And then in Legend of Korra, she plays a fire sage when Korra loses her memory in the beginnings part 1, which is ironic because she must have not been paying attention to the script or something in that episode, which she might didn't even get the script because it's just a few lines she has to read. But she was like, she was going through she watched Avatar. She's a huge fan of it. And I think she, like a couple of years ago, she was finally watching Legend of Korra. And she sent out like a Twitter message like, hey, Avatar fans, can you guys explain to me how the original benders are the original benders and the difference between the lion turtles and stuff like that? Which is just really cool on so many levels, right?
Just the notion of Serena Williams reaching out to the public about Avatar. Like, you could stop it right there, and that would still be extremely interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Where the heck were we? Anyway.
So they had the fight choreographed in the Nickelodeon gym, and it is a really good-looking fight that does a nice job of highlighting the quote-unquote warrior that Sokka is, or the type of warrior he is, I think. It's like, it tells a story within the fight, I think, about who Sokka is.
Yeah. And I really love that scene. He goes through like bamboo stalks and stuff, and like just that, and like how they all fall, but Master Piandao is quick enough that he just cuts them all up too. Yeah, just really great fight.
Yeah, it's very well done. And you always get the idea, like, I don't know that you ever really sense that Sokka's in danger, like maybe we're supposed to. I don't know if you ever quite get that vibe. Like, you get the toying with him vibe. But it is
Yeah.
still a nice reveal, kind of at the end, or like a comforting reveal. Like, it was just a test and he knew the whole time and all that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't get the feel he knew the whole time at that point, but I got the feel that he was fine with whatever Sokka was, and he was going to continue to train him because he is training him here. Like he is coaching him as this fight is
The whole
going on.
time, yeah.
I mean, really, this fight is a test as well.
So it's translated really well. And then just so as not to linger on it too long, at the end of this fight, and essentially Sokka has earned his respect and admiration. And I just want to call out that he does give him the White Lotus tile, which
Yes.
at this point we do have a little better understanding of what that means. And that
Yeah, we've met. Keep going. Sorry.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not a twist or anything, but it just gets you more intrigued in what this secret society is. That this really awesome character, even if it's just a side character, this very awesome, interesting character, it has a way of like piquing your interest a little more into what the White Lotus actually is.
Yeah, and his like on the floor there's actually a White Lotus on like the training ground, and then even his insignia when it goes into it, it's a White Lotus. But there's also a Fire Nation symbol right in the middle there. So just really clear out there signs that this guy is part of the White Lotus.
Our signs that we're part of the White Lotus, like our Instagram and Twitter profile pictures. We are White Lotus unofficial members. We're like the White Lotus fan club.
Yeah. I like that logo. I forgot we need to put it on the. Something's missing it. Anyway, I was like, oh, in commentary they also mentioned that Master Piandao was like a general in the army, so that's interesting as well, just like Iroh was. Yeah. Speaking of Iroh.
Nice transition.
Yeah.
And with the Serena Williams too, that's a nice transition.
He is currently in prison, and this was one of my favorite parts of the episode. Right, like he looks so disheveled, like almost crazy, as if his mind has gone somewhere. But we know, like last time we saw Iroh, he wasn't going crazy. But this is all just a show for this this prison guard guy. And like when Iroh gets food, like he like shovels to it, and he like eats it, and he seems like just like he's not all there.
He's playing it up, yeah. He's doing great.
Yeah. And I think the first thing he does afterwards, like he lifts up his hair and just smiles, and then does he just eat the apple at that point? Yeah, I think in that one he just eats the apple.
He totally stops eating everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the next time he just visits him, whatever. Oh, next time he's doing push-ups, like clapping push-ups. Which
yeah,
I can do maybe like 5.
I'm at like 2 tops.
But then when the warden comes in because he hears this clapping, it's just Iroh going like that's just so like mess with your mind type of stuff. And then the warden says, I don't want to call him the warden, but this guy really gives some interesting perspective on Iroh. It's like, you used to be the pride of the Fire Nation, the great dragon of the West. Now look at you. Like, that's just an interesting comment in of itself. Like, man, people used to look up to Iroh. Like, Iroh was that guy who was leading the charge against all the other 4 nations.
He was gonna be the Fire Lord.
Yeah. Now he's in prison, which is just really interesting. Even in the commentary, they're like, yeah, Iroh used to be this really hardened kind of general, like one of the best. Like he's one of the greatest tacticians there was. He was one of the greatest forces there was, and he's like, and now this is him getting back to that, like him actually training and getting back to being that the way he was, which I'm really curious, which will never happen. Like who would win in a fight between Iroh and Ozai? I mean, I would take I would take Iroh probably, but Ozai, he's no slouch. Like Ozai had to, just because Ozai wasn't like in the war, he still trained on all these different things. He still had, he still went through Agni Kais and stuff like that.
If we're talking like peak Iroh versus peak Ozai, it makes me want to go peak Iroh, but at like certain given points in the series, you'd be like, all right, I don't think Iroh is really in shape for this right now.
Yeah, like even if Iroh got to the peak that he could get to, right? Even if Iroh sculpted his body to the best he could do right now, he's still like 60 years old. And though bending is a physical and a spiritual aspect of it, Ozai still top his freaking game, like 40 years old. I think narrative wise, it would make more sense that Ozai would win that fight. Because to me, Ozai is supposed to be he's that upper, epsilon thing that Aang has to surpass. Nothing should be able to thwart him because that just makes Aang's story just, I don't know, less meaningful, I guess.
So what you're saying is you want to see Aang versus Iroh. That's what I'm hearing. No, I agree. I agree entirely. I would say there would probably be some element of, when we have our Aang versus Korra discussions, it's like there's probably Iroh would probably find ways to make it a stalemate, sort of intentionally. Like that would be sort of Iroh's victory. He would not be defeating Ozai, but sort of stalemating him.
Yeah, I
Whereas
do think
Ozai would come out a certain number of times and win outright.
because given a certain situation, if Iroh would have faced, hmm, yeah, if Iroh would have faced um, Ozai before Ozai knew about lightning redirection, then Iroh would win because that's the element of surprise. Like Zuko could have killed Iroh. Zuko could have killed Ozai when he stood up against him in the Day of Black Sun, but he knew his own destiny. That's Avatar's destiny, so he didn't do it. But he could have easily just point it right back at you. And Aang could have done it too, but I don't think Ozai knew that Aang knew lightning redirection. Although she kind of should have known though.
He should suspect it at least.
Like, he should have. Yeah,
you gotta be aware of that stuff.
Zuko told him, "Hey, I'm gonna go train the Avatar." Oh, well, maybe Zuko would train him how to redirect light. So that makes me more so fall in the camp of Iroh that even if Ozai would suspect lightning redirection, Iroh would still be able to redirect it at him and get him back, and also Iroh would be able to shoot lightning of his own at him. I don't know. It would be a really cool fight.
Until I see Ozai spit a dragon out of his mouth, it's no. I think your explanation is probably very appropriate. It would be almost demeaning to Aang's arc to think that Iroh would be outright better. But situationally, or I'm going to stand by. Like I said, I think Iroh would intentionally find ways to stalemate more than defeat, and that would sort of be a victory in his own mind.
Iroh would figure out energy bending.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if anybody was gonna do it, whatever, I could see that.
Oh man, we're talking a lot about this one episode. Anyway,
it's a good episode in my opinion.
So it ends with which I love this scene so much. After the guy leaves, like Iroh just undresses and this big pillow just falls from him. And he just like jumps to the bar, just doing one arm pull ups and just eating an apple. Like there's nothing more BA than that.
Full disclosure, I have a pull up bar. I try to do a certain number of pull ups every day just to try to get better. I don't really work out. It's just one of those easy things where every time I walk through that doorway, I do pull ups. I've been doing this for like a year, give or take. I can still only do a maximum of wide grip. I can do 12 whole pull-ups, wide grip, 2 hands. And so I just really like the vision of this 60-year-old man eating an apple doing one-handed pull-ups in his cell. There's something that gets me all fired up, pun intended, about seeing him do that. But I'm also a weakling, so it's not a good comparison.
Yeah, I think right now I could do, and I don't do pull-ups that much, but I do have a bar. At my peak when I was working out, my peak. I mean, everybody has a peak. Like
When
my
I
peak's
was a
not that
younger
high.
man.
Yeah. No, just when I was like working out like 4 times a week. Not even hard working. I just like playing basketball, doing 2 miles on treadmill, lifting various weights. I could do maybe like one pull up with one arm, um, and then overhand, whatever wide, I could probably do like 15 straight, and then probably like 17 because this is easier.
Yeah,
Whatever this is,
inverted in here, and I can get about 15, and wide I can do like 12.
yeah. But I remember, not to toot my own horn here, but I remember in gym class in ninth grade, we're taking this like assessment test, and we got to pull ups, and I don't even know. I've never done pull ups before, but like everyone's doing the pull ups, and like people are only doing like 5 at most. And I get up there, and I'm just like 1, 2. I'm like, wait, what? How am I even doing this? And I do 10. They're like, look at him. I'm like, yeah, look at it. It's like it's like I was Peter Parker and I got superpower. The thing is, that was the only thing I could do. Other thing than that, I wasn't like great at. I could just do pull-ups well for some reason, relatively well, not that well, but
I was say at running. I eventually got good at running, but otherwise I failed all those physical fitness tests. I like sports. I'm not good at them. That's important to hear. Running though, one time I was good at running.
I
But
remember
so what?
for some reason, we play intramural basketball a lot. I remember one time at a game, I threw you like a really good pass. It got you wide open, like right near the basketball goal, and you shot it. You completely missed it.
That sounds
And on the way
exactly.
back, you like looked at me like, I'm sorry. Like, and one thing,
That's,
I don't care
that
because
sounds
I'm not,
100% like me
like,
to a T.
like, sure, I do like to win. Like, I am competitive, but I'll never get mad at people. I'm not mad when I lose. I mean, I really, really like to win, but but it's funny.
That sounds like me. One time in high school basketball, so we didn't have a C team, but we were a really small school, but we really always had big basketball teams. Not good, just big. And I wasn't very good. We never had a C team, so even on the JV team, I never got to play many minutes. So I was like a junior already playing JV, and I got to go in the game for a couple minutes. And I like LeBron in transition. I came up and I like LeBron swatted a guy and actually pinned it. So I pinned it against the backboard, and it
Ooh.
scared you don't expect to do this when you're small and athletic. And I didn't know what had happened at the time, but I like caught up and I like pinned that shit against the backboard. I felt so cool. And then only at that point do I realize it was one of those backboards that drops down like a foot below where the rim is. So it's
Still cool.
it's still easily like the highlight of my entire basketball career. But like
Yeah.
when you're not thinking about it first, it's like, how did I do that? And then I turn around and I look and I was like, that's right. Easily the highlight of my whole basketball life was that one blocked shot.
Mhm.
But felt really good. I never got good at basketball. That's okay. I still nothing no individual sport like activity gives me as much joy as just generally shooting hoops. I need a basketball in
Yeah.
my house, like a goal in my house somehow. I don't know how I'm going to make that happen.
Yeah. I'm getting back into playing basketball. Going back to the gym. Got a gym membership. Been going like twice a week last couple weeks, so it was really good to get back
Gym
in the
with
gym.
courts?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Excellent. I'm glad you get back into it. We used to play a lot of ball.
All right. Now that we've diverted all the way from
It's been a
there, sorry.
basketball. It's supposed to be a basketball episode. We needed that this week. So at the end of the episode, though, is it this one where he tells the lady not to be here on a certain day, or is
No,
that the
no,
next episode?
that's not until Day of Black Sun, and that's
Okay.
Serena Williams. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, in that case, yeah, that's probably the end of this episode. So I'm gonna
Yeah, I
go
think it
ahead.
just ended. Yeah, I think it just ended with them getting the White Lotus.
You're right. I think that is actually the last portion.
Yes. All right, my ratings: audiovisual 8, real of the sword fight. That's pretty much the gist of it. And I also do like the intro with the blue flame meteor shower, which can explain. Uh,
Even science can't
story,
explain it.
yeah. Story a 7. It doesn't uh, it feels a little forced because Sokka doesn't need to go through this, honestly. And Sokka being a master swordsman isn't all that vital to the show. I do like that he got the sword because it makes him look cooler. But if he
Yeah,
still
it
had his
does.
club, if he still had his club, it would be not that much different story wise. But
I
I
do
still love
wish
the
he would
sword.
have. I wish he would have found a boomerang master instead. That would have been hilarious.
No, he's already pretty good at the boomerang. I
He's
think.
solid.
I
He's
don't, I don't
solid.
think he needs to. Yeah. Memorable the most memorable. But I remember when I watched it, I rewatched it immediately afterwards. The first time that's when it premiered, because just everything happening with Iroh was just really cool. And I mentioned before, but in the commentary talking about the art of war and knowing your enemy and stuff like that, and how Iroh is just like, if Iroh would have studied the art of war, and like this is like uh, making your enemy believe something that's not it, right? But that brings me out to a 7.5 out of 10. It's a fine episode. It's a fairly fillery, though.
I was a little surprised. That it seemed like it came out low relative. When I look and I just see the list, I don't see the titles. I just see number, episode, and then scores, and it seemed low. But that's fine. It's fine. It's only surprising because this is actually probably in my top 10 episodes of the first of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Especially if you take the 2-part episodes that we really enjoy and you count those as like one entity. This is
Yeah.
probably in my top 10. Audiovisual, it's great. There's nothing spectacular, but there's a lot of really good animation, good sound effects, voice acting. Love it. Story, I also gave that a 9. I kind of disagree. I understand as a young person how, for the same reasons that we cut Zuko lots of slack for acting like a douchebag all the time, I'm gonna cut Sokka plenty of slack for having one
Oh,
day
that's
where
fair. That's fair.
where he is like, just he's getting a little jealous of the attention and the special, not even special treatment, but like that all these things are designed around these people going and get this training or whatnot. So I actually love that as a development. I do agree that it feels maybe a little like maybe a little out of place. But regardless, I think as usual, our disagreements tend to come from like, this stands alone as a very good story. It's probably kind of larger, inconsequential, other than the B plot is probably more important than the A plot, which is a little strange. But I love it.
True.
And then memorable, to me, very memorable because it's got the humor, the sword fighting, favorite characters. It focuses on my 2 favorite characters, both plots. The B plot is perfect. It's exactly what I want out of a B plot, which is almost like a teaser for bigger things to come. That's what I want my B plots to be. And then the A plot is really interesting to me too. So I love it. Came even 9. That gave us a nice 8.3, which in the grand scheme of our episodes is good, solid placement.
Yeah. That's probably the widest we've been. I think. I don't know.
That might be
Maybe
among
1.5.
our widest margins,
Yeah.
especially given the weight that you put on story. So your story at 7 with the weight that you have it, that like drug it. But I'm not here to bash. That's fine. It's
Yeah.
If we didn't have differing opinions, our top and bottom 5 episodes would be really boring.
One thing we didn't mention was how Team Avatar is without Sokka. How it's just really boring, and Katara tries to fill up with that with jokes, but she's not funny.
I forgot all
at
about that.
all.
Yeah, it's great when she's trying to. It's so. I forget what she said. It's so something outside.
Yeah, it's so hot that Momo is shedding.
That's what it is. Oh, and she's trying. God bless her. I forgot all about that part. That is great, though.
Yeah, this is an interesting Taka episode, actually, because Katara says, like, Toph says she misses Sokka. She's like, well, if you miss him so much, why don't you marry him? And then they respond to it in like a way. But then when Sokka comes back, Toph is really excited to see him.
To see him. Chris, you jerk. Oh, go ahead.
Toph was really excited to see him with her feet, sense him physically with her feet. Sounds weird out of context.
That sounds worse. Sorry, that sounds worse somehow. I don't know why. I get it. This is me being childish. It's fine.
Yeah, and then she blushes about him. So, but just a little bit of Taka stuff there for all those Taka shippers out there.
Taka plugs.
Yeah.
I
A
don't.
lot of taco shippers out there.
I gotta be honest. I don't remember what my feelings were on the Taka ship. I think long term I'm a no go, but within the immediate context of the episode is pretty cute.
Yeah.
But I think long term I was a sink, or maybe a float. I don't know. I wasn't big on a lot of those ships.
I think I floated that one.
That was a great podcast episode. We got tons of downloads and tons of views. I loved seeing that episode out there.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. Also, shout out to any new listeners out there. I think we've gotten a little bit more. Like some people have come to my video, say, "Oh, I'm here from After Our Last Podcasters."
What?
I'm like, "Oh, really? That's interesting." That doesn't happen all that often.
I'm gonna say that's like the 1% in a literal way. That is the 1 out of 100. Is that person? That's awesome though. That's great. It was really gratifying to see I always look at the downloads of the audio only. And that compiles downloads from like iTunes and Spotify, Google Play.
Yeah.
And so, but when it's downloads, like it's not playing in the browser. Like these people are, they may not ever listen to it, but they're actively like saving it to their phone to listen to later. And I don't know why that's so flattering to me, but it's like people trying to save our stuff on their phones. And that's pretty cool. 10 whole people trying to save our stuff on their phones.
Hey.
I know it doesn't seem like that much, but it's kind of flattering to think about. So, thank you, fans.
Thousands of people. Perception is everything, Shawn.
That's right. Thousands of people. Well, I'm assuming if 10 downloaded it, hopefully that means thousands saw it. So that's pretty cool. Hey, thanks, fans, on that note. And here, as your reward, here's a picture of buff Iroh. Sorry if you're on the audio-only version. What a great picture, though. I love buff Iroh.
It is interesting, but he seems way bigger.
Seems too tall.
Here than he did and when we meet him again in the Old Masters.
He just seems too tall here. Like he didn't grow taller, he just worked out.
Yeah, like in Old Masters, he looks like he slimmed down but didn't bulk up. Granted, in here he's like, "Oh, I bulked up," or maybe he was like, "Oh, I bulked up. I got too big. I gotta come down."
Well, maybe it was just to get out, right? It's not like a larger mission type of thing. It's what's the best use of my time right now? Bulk up, get out, and then after that, he's like, all right,
don't gotta work out anymore.
Let's start going back to normal. Thank you, fans. Thank you, Chris. Next week we will have I think our goal is to have a special guest on. And the reason is because the episode is garbage, so we're trying to do something to make it sound better. And no, I'm just kidding.
That's not my assessment of it.
That opinion is not representative of this YouTube channel or of other people on it. It's just my opinion. No, but we will have Jamie on, hopefully, if she's available, to talk about that episode. As well as waffles.
Yes.
Waffles versus pancakes. That's very important. And then hopefully something that is more important than waffles versus pancakes. What's going to be bad is that I'm going to have like stronger feelings on next week's episode in the waffles versus pancakes debates than I have on like anything else. Such inconsequential nonsense. But
I'm going to bring the heat, so get ready.
Bring the heat. I'm going to bring the waffles. I'll be happy. Whatever. It's fine. In the meantime, go follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We've been doing pretty good at interacting on Twitter. Not quite as much on Instagram, but trying to be active on both. And that's at @last_podcasters, or as always on the Facebook page. Chris is the Objective Geek on YouTube and Objective_Geek on Twitter. So go follow us, hang out with us, give us your thoughts on the next episode, especially because I would love to be. I would love to not be converted, but I'd love to hear reasons why I should be converted and like the episode better. So, in the meantime, I'm Shawn. That's Chris. This is Avatar: The Last Podcasters, and we will see you next time.